Green Lantern Corps. If the universe had a security system, the Green Lantern Corps would be the intergalactic firewalls keeping the chaos in check. As the first and most famous Lantern Corps, the Green Lanterns were created by the Guardians of the Universe to harness the emotional spectrum's raw energy. Ion represents pure willpower, and for them, that's all that matters. While their cores rely on emotions like rage or fear, the Green Lanterns function on sheer determination, making them the ultimate cosmic control freaks. Green Lanterns don't get fancy biological upgrades, but they don't need them. Their rings are among the most versatile weapons in the universe, allowing them to fly, create energy constructs, generate force fields, and even scan reality with their imagination. Their rings also handle the boring stuff like universal translation and space travel, so they never have to fumble with Google Translate in deep space. The only known Green Lantern-specific power is Simon Baz's Emerald Sight, which gives him short glimpses of the future, basically cosmic deja vu. But even the strongest will crack. The Green Lantern's rings need regular recharging. Yes, even space cops need to deal with battery life issues, and their constructs can be shattered by stronger emotions, especially rage-powered Red Lanterns. If a lantern's will wavers, their ring becomes about as useful as a green flashlight. Still, as long as their will burns bright, the Green Lanterns will keep the universe in check, whether the universe likes it or not. Red Lantern Corps. Some warriors fight for justice, others for power. The Red Lanterns, they fight because they're really pissed off. Fueled by pure, unrelenting rage, the Red Lantern Corps channels their furies through the entity known as the Butcher. Their leader, Atrocitus, has a pretty good reason to be mad. His entire sector was wiped out thanks to the Green Lantern's old robot enforcers, the Manhunters. Instead of moving on like a well-adjusted space citizen, he grabbed a red ring and made it his life's mission to burn everything in sight. Becoming a Red Lantern isn't just a career choice, it's a one-way ticket to becoming permanently angry. The ring doesn't just go on your finger, it replaces your heart. From that moment on, you're fueled by rage and stomach-churning plasma vomit that melts through anything. Yes, projectile rage is a real power. They can also sense anger in others and use it as a cosmic rage amplifier. Need a quick escape? No problem, just open a blood portal and step right through. Totally normal stuff. But all that fury comes with some serious drawbacks. Red Lanterns aren't exactly great at thinking things through, and if a Blue Lantern powered by hope shows up, their anger-fueled abilities start fizzling out. Even love, from a Star Sapphire can mess with their power. Still, for a Red Lantern, there's only one rule: stay mad, stay strong, and keep melting faces. Orange Lantern Corps. If the Lantern Corps was a family, the Orange Lanterns would be that one greedy cousin who hoards all the snacks and refuses to share. Unlike the other corps, which have armies of ring wielders, the Orange Lanterns consist of exactly one member, Larfleeze. Not because no one else wants in, but because he won't let them. Fueled by the entity Ophidian, Larfleeze is consumed by greed, making him the ultimate cosmic hoarder. He doesn't just use the orange light, he owns it, and if you try to take it, he'll probably just steal you instead. Larfleeze's ring gives him standard lantern abilities like energy constructs and flight, but with a selfish twist. Instead of recruiting members, he absorbs people into his ring, turning them into spectral orange lanterns who exist only to serve his will. Even worse, his ring can absorb all kinds of energy, even magic and other lantern lights. That makes him a nightmare for most lanterns, except for Blue with their hope and Violet with their love, which, for some reason, his greed can't touch. But greed isn't just his power, it's also his downfall. Larfleeze is so obsessed with keeping everything that he refuses to share power, leaving him alone and constantly paranoid. His ring might be strong, but his insatiable hunger for more keeps him distracted, reckless, and vulnerable. Still, as long as there's something to take, Larfleeze will never stop. And in a universe full of treasures, that's a very big problem. Sinestro Corps. If Fear had a fan club, the Sinestro Corps would be running it, with a strict no cowards allowed policy. The Yellow Lanterns, led by the infamous Sinestro, wield the power of fear through the entity Parallax. Once a respected Green Lantern, Sinestro ditched the Guardian's goody two-shoes approach in favor of ruling the universe through intimidation. With his custom-made Yellow Lantern ring, he built an army of the galaxy's scariest individuals, including at one point Black Adam. The Sinestro Corps thrive on fear, and their rings don't just use it, they feed on it. A yellow lantern can make people panic just by existing, and the more fear they instill, the stronger they become. Their rings, created by the antimatter universe by the weaponers of Quard, can even supercharge Kryptonians like a portable sun. Basically, if they don't scare you to death, they'll just punch you through a planet instead. But fear has its limits. The yellow rings need constant recharging, and their worst nightmare? Hope. Blue lanterns can neutralize their power, making them as threatening as a Halloween decoration. And of course, the one thing that's more terrifying than wielding fear is losing it, because without it, the Sinestro Corps is just a bunch of angry dudes in yellow spandex. Still, as long as there are things to be afraid of, the Sinestro Corps will be there, lurking in the shadows, waiting to turn fear into their greatest weapon. Blue Lantern Corps. If the universe were falling apart, which, let's be honest, it usually is, the Blue Lantern Corps will be the one standing in the rubble, telling everyone it's going to be okay. Created by the exiled Guardians Gathet and Saeed, the Blue Lanterns harness the power of hope, which, surprisingly, makes them one of the strongest yet least aggressive Lantern Corps. Unlike other corps that recruit en masse, Blue Lanterns take their time, personally selecting new members and guiding them until they truly understand their purpose. This makes their numbers small, but their impact enormous. The Blue Rings function like the ultimate cosmic support system. Their constructs are based on what inspires hope, and their very presence supercharges Green Lanterns, drains the fear from Yellow Lanterns, calms the rage of Red Lanterns, and completely ignores the greed of Orange Lanterns. Need healing? A Blue Lantern can patch up even the worst injuries. They're basically the universe's emergency response system, if a hospital could also shoot energy blasts. But here's the catch. Hope works best when it has something to believe in. A Blue Lantern is at their strongest when near a Green Lantern, as willpower helps focus their energy. Alone, their abilities are far more limited, and since hope tends to mess the emotional spectrum, their presence can disrupt all power sources, making them a double-edged sword in a fight. Still, even in the darkest corners of the universe, a Blue Lantern shines as a reminder. Sometimes all you need to win is a little hope. The Indigo Tribe. The Indigo Tribe is like the weird kid in class who doesn't say much, but somehow knows everything about everyone. Unlike the Lantern Corps, they don't recruit members in the traditional way. Instead, they force some of their worst criminals in the universe to wear an indigo ring, rewiring their minds until they actually feel compassion. So yeah, imagine being a heartless murderer one day and then waking up the next crying over a sad puppy video. Founded by the freed slave Natromo and Green Lantern Abin Sur, the Indigo Tribe channels the power of compassion from every proselyte. Unlike other corps, they don't even use standard power rings because of course they have to be different. Their abilities are some of the strangest in the emotional spectrum, including instantaneous teleportation and the ability to copy the powers of other Lantern Corps as long as they're nearby. This means an Indigo Lantern can shoot fear-based constructs like a Yellow Lantern or even puke Red Lantern acid blood. Talk about versatile. But their biggest strength is also their biggest weakness. Since they mimic other Lantern abilities, they also inherit those abilities' weaknesses. A careless Indigo Lantern could end up being undone by the very power they're using. Plus, there's the whole forced empathy thing. If an Indigo Lantern removes a ring, they snap back to who they were before, which is usually not great for anyone in the vicinity. So while other Lanterns fight with raw power, the Indigo Tribe takes a different approach. Brainwashing villains until they're nice, morbidly questionable, definitely. Effective? Absolutely. Star Sapphire Corps. The Star Sapphires take love makes you do crazy things to a whole new level. Originally, there was only one Star Sapphire at the time, some unlucky woman possessed by the violet light, forced to challenge Green Lanterns because of a messy cosmic breakup between the Zamarans and the Guardians. Classic X drama. Over time, the Star Sapphire Corps expanded, recruiting women who were all about spreading love across the universe. With the power of love channeled through the entity, the Predator, yes, the Love's mascot is something called the Predator, Star Sapphires are a force to be reckoned with. Their abilities include seeing into people's hearts to reveal their true desires, sensing when their soulmate is in trouble, and even teleporting across space-time to save their beloved in a cosmic rom-com moment. They can also alter minds by injecting people with love, which sounds sweet until you realize it's basically brainwashing with extra glitter. But for all their power, star sapphires have some of the biggest drawbacks. Their rings need constant recharging, and their biggest weakness is their own emotions. Since they're deeply connected to those they love, their enemies just need to target their special someone to throw them off balance. And let's not forget the whole subtly mind-controlling people into loving more thing. Definitely a moral gray area. In short, the star sapphires are terrifyingly powerful and romantically unhinged. Kinda like that one ex who just won't let go. Black Lantern Corps. The Black Lantern Corps is the ultimate cosmic horror show, led by Nekron, the embodiment of death itself. While the other Lantern Corps go through the whole recruiting people before they die process, the Black Lanterns just skip that step entirely. Instead, Nekron forges the Corps from the endless sea of the dead, turning fallen heroes and villains into his personal zombie army. Nekron's war against the universe kicked off in a dramatic fashion by killing the Anti-Monitor and stuffing him into his celestial power battery like some kind of evil battery pack. From there, he spread his influence by infecting the living and reanimating the dead, fueling his power by absorbing hearts like some macabre loyalty program. While Black Lanterns can technically fly and make constructs, they prefer using their connection to death to corrupt the living, ensuring their victims don't just die, but come back as new recruits. Their rings can also read emotions, mimic the powers of other lanterns, except hope because optimism is their kryptonite, and even nullify entire sections of the emotional spectrum, shutting down other lanterns like a cosmic power outage. But for all their nightmare fuel, the Black Lanterns have some weaknesses. They crumble in the face of the white light of life, and surprisingly, they can't raise the dead if someone died peacefully. Overwhelming emotions can overpower them, so much for being cold-hearted, and even though their rings are fast enough to chase the Flash, they can't travel through time, so at least Barry Allen can still time warp his way out of this mess. White Lantern Corps. If every Lantern Corps represents an emotion, the White Lanterns represent everything. Life, creation, and the cosmic equivalent of turning it off and back on again. The White Lantern Corps was born out of desperation during the Blackest Night, when Hal Jordan merged with the entity of life to fight Nekron. Turns out the only thing that could actually hurt the Lord of the Undead was the raw, blinding power of existence itself. The white light didn't just push back the Black Lantern invasion, it severed Nekron's hold on resurrected heroes, effectively giving a big cosmic nope to his zombie apocalypse. White Lanterns don't just give flight and energy projection, they get the ultimate god mode. Their rings can heal, resurrect the dead, and even let them see the flow of life itself, tracking past and present events like a universal security camera. They can also perceive spirits, which is either incredibly useful or a really bad time depending on who's haunting you. Most importantly, it's the only light that the Black Lanterns can't snuff out. But power this great comes with a catch. Anyone wielding a white ring becomes a servant of the entity, carrying the responsibility of literally protecting life itself. Free will? Not so much. Instead of doing whatever they want, White Lanterns must focus on keeping balance in the universe, a full-time job with no vacation days. Still, when death itself is knocking, the White Lanterns answer, because sometimes the only way to win is to bring everything back to life. Ultraviolet Lantern Corps. The Ultraviolet Lantern Corps is the emotional equivalent of a deep unfiltered therapy session gone very wrong. Unlike the more well-known Lantern Corps, which channel distinct emotions, the Ultraviolet Corps taps into everything you've ever tried to suppress. Rage, hatred, fear, shame, weaponizing the darkest corners of the mind. Their power comes from the Umbrox, a living cosmic horror of a planet that lurked within the Source Wall until the Dark Knight's defeat set it free. Once unleashed, it didn't spread its energy, it spread itself, like an emotional infection creeping across the universe. Sinestro, never one to pass up a forbidden power, was the first one to wield it, but the Corps isn't about choice. Once you're infected, you serve. Not as a soldier, but as an extension of the Umbrax's will. What makes the Ultraviolet Lanterns really terrifying is their ability to override free will. Other cores empower their wielders, but the ultraviolet ring takes over, forcing them to act on their darkest impulses. There's no need for recruitment. You don't just join the Ultraviolet Corps, you get consumed by it. But there's just a catch. For all its overwhelming power, Umbrex still needs a conduit, someone strong enough to anchor its influence. That's where the plan starts to fall apart. Jon Stewart, once infected, broke free purely through sheer willpower and self-awareness, proving that the Ultraviolet Corps isn't invincible. If a person can shake their inner demons instead of running from them, the grip of Umbrex can't be shaken. At its core, the Ultraviolet Lantern Corps is less about raw strength and more about control. It thrives on unchecked emotions, which means that sometimes the most dangerous enemy isn't an alien conqueror, it's your own mind. Sorrow Lantern Corps. Some guys take rejection badly. Nathan Broom took it cosmically badly. Introduced in 2023, Nathan seemed like the perfect counter to Hal Jordan, stable, reliable, and most importantly, engaged to Carol Ferris. Despite Hal's best efforts, Nathan was the one who finally won Carol's heart, until absolute power happened. In the middle of their wedding, a star sapphire ring sensed Hal was in danger, and Carol, ever the hero, left Nathan at the altar to go save her ex. Pretty brutal. Bro became Sneeko for the second time. Cut to Nathan alone and in the honeymoon suite, stewing in heartbreak. But instead of just drowning his sorrows in an overpriced room service, he became his sorrow. As he mourned how guys like Hal always seemed to win, his body shifted. His suit turned gray, and the first ever Sorrow Lantern was born. While details on the Sorrow Lantern Corps are scarce, Nathan's transformation during Theros' attack on the emotional spectrum suggests something big. Like other lanterns, he likely has flight, construct creation, and space travel. But the eerie details of his transformation, a smoldering wedding blanket, a burnt rose in his hand, and his power might not just manifest grief, but decay things around him. Whether that's intentional or just an unstable side effect is still unclear, but for all the power that Sorrow may offer, Nathan is a rookie. His emotional pain gave him strength, but without experience, he's vulnerable. Veterans like Hal Jordan won't just let him mope around unchecked, they'll be watching. Because while heartbreak can break a man, in Nathan's case, it might just break the universe. And that's a wrap on the emotional spectrum. From willpower to rage, hope to greed, every Lantern Corps brings something unique to the universe. Which one would you join? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for more deep dives into the DC universe. See you next time.